Viewer questions.
So clearly this is the show.
This is the show.
Because you didn't even go.
Now I'm going to go, right? Hey there, Bob from Oregon, Wisconsin Gardner. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show to you, my YouTube buddies. What's going on? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it. It'll be fun. We got Scott here. We're doing viewer questions. Are you ready for some questions?
We're going to try.
We're going to try. Yeah. We answered all the questions last week, so we got not so many questions. We got a few questions. I think we got some good ones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. This one's from Dean Weiss. I don't remember hearing from Dean Weiss before. He might have before, but it might be a new questioner. Can you water with compost worm tea after you do your nutrient feeding? So yes and no, I would think. Yes, you can do it whenever, but you'd be just in the same day. You'd have a lot of water there, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want to overwater. You can, as long as you're doing less feed volume and more tea volume. But yeah.
So it's just a matter of there's no conflict between. It's just
you don't want to put your tea in first.
No. But so let's just say that. Let's just say
or you don't want to add your tea to the nutrients.
No. So what, at 20 minutes? That's too soon, isn't it?
No. I mean,
how is 20 minutes different from just putting them together?
Nutrients. So you got the strength in the nutrient, and you got the fragile of the bacteria, the fungus, and you put those together, you could harm them. But if you put the nutrients in, let that react, absorb, adhere, and then bring in the nutrients or the microbes behind it, you should be totally
That's
safe.
Probably what he's asking.
But if you put a gallon of water into a 3-gallon pot and then a gallon of tea in, now you've overwatered, and it might be 5-6 days before you need to water again, so there's no benefit there. But it won't hurt anything to do it.
What's the disadvantage if I just watered it too much and then I waited 2 weeks to water it again? It's not good, right? Because I can't get as many nutrients.
Oh, I see. So you're baiting me to that video you had the other day with that watering crap.
All right, fine.
So what's the negativity of that? Well, let's see. So you may have suffocated everything that lives there if you watered them so much that you can't water them for 9 days.
So that is the issue, that you can drown.
You can drown everything. And your plant. And if your plant can't breathe, then the roots start to fail and you start to get root rot.
So those are, when we can talk about that another day, but the two bad scenarios are it's dry and everything dies, it's so wet that everything dies. Somewhere in the middle lies
dry really boils down to, you don't want mycorrhizas to dry up because they do die.
Yeah.
But if you have bacterial spores, protozoa, all those can live in pretty much dry
Do they just kind of go dormant or something?
They just go dormant. But the plant doesn't go dormant. The plant goes dead.
Right.
So you're really trying to sustain the life of the plant's health versus the microbial health, because you can't just add another dose of plant. But you sure can add more mycorrhiza. You sure can add more easy teas. You could sure add some more, photosynthesis.
I gotcha.
You can't add another, OG8.
So now that I got you into this, if I take, all things being equal, I take 3 gallons of my nutrients and I pour it all in the plant one day versus pouring it on the plant over 3
container.
Well, let's just say
it does matter, because 3 gallons in a 100-gallon pot is really like a sip.
This is a hypothetical. So I'm taking an arbitrary
number. I hypothetically need an arbitrary soil volume.
Okay, so we got a 20-gallon pot.
Okay, great.
We're putting about 3-4 gallons in there.
That'd be a good feeding.
And that would last it for
a day or two.
So if I were to take that amount of feeding for a day or two, let's say I had 6 gallons. I got 4 days worth of thing. It's not going to dry out for 4 days. And I put that in there one day and let it not go for wait 4 days. Or I put it in a quarter of it each day for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting more nutrients in theory by doing it 4 times over doing it one time? Who knows?
In my opinion, I would believe you'd be giving them more. I think you get more aggressive growth, more response, and more benefits from doing less more often than more less often. Because plants are smart in the sense of they don't want to die.
Yeah.
They don't want to dehydrate, and they don't want to go without water.
Yeah.
So if you give them, hypothetically, you have your 4 gallons and you give them a gallon today and a gallon tomorrow and a gallon versus 4 all at once, that gallon goes in, the plants absorb that, they utilize it, they take it up, then the roots go looking for more, so they actually send out roots to find more moisture.
Okay.
So they're not going to dehydrate in a day, they're going to go look for more, and then as they're looking for more, then you give them that next one. That satisfies them for the day. They take it up, everything's great, the roots go out looking for more. Now, if you gave all 4 gallons at once, they're so surrounded, the plants just sit there in stasis and absorb.
Okay.
So they become kind of lazy in the sense of, I'm not going to go growing for water because it's all around us. And if I grow, I could be jeopardizing the tip of my roots. I could start a fungal problem. I could get a root rot. You know, there's a lot of issues.
Better to stay here. It's all good right here.
It's better to weigh on the dry side than the wet side. These aren't wet-footed plants. And a lot of people, you'll hear that saying, hot foot, cold foot, wet foot, dry foot. Well, these prefer like a moist to dry rather than a wet. They're not swamp lovers. They love to be on the side of a hillside next to a creek so they can dab into the creek, but the rest is going into dry.
I gotcha.
So it's, you know, I believe in a less, more often, less volume, more frequently. Less than the other way. A lot of people like I want to hammer them once a week. Well, you miss out on 6 days of feeding. You potentially suffocated all your bacteria in your mycorrhiza. Now you have to force feed your plants so they eat because you have no living biota to actually make them efficiently consume.
So practical considerations, if you can only be there so often, every couple days is like 2 or 3 days, not a big deal. 6 or 7 days is probably a tough deal.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think people that sit there and talk about how you don't get yield or you know, with our line, it's probably because they're the people that are feeding them on Monday and Friday. So 2 feedings a day. Well, if I only ate on Monday,
Friday,
I'm gonna be mad.
It's gonna be a problem.
So there might be some dead people. But, you know, we're not growing healthy. We're not doing good things for ourselves if we're eating in these, you know, gluttonous eat, nothing for a week. Gluttonous eat, where if you're eating 20 snacks a day and exercising, you're going to be fit, you're going to be sharp, you're not going to look like us.
Yeah.
You're going to be much happier looking. Bunch of...
In my belly. All right.
Christmas.
See, I appreciate you getting into that a little bit. That's just a little taster, a little teaser. So, Brandon Griffith says, I got a question about paramagnetic rock. I know you sell some locally. Why do you believe in your product? Also, any thoughts on rock dust in general? So, and you use it, it's in the soil, is it not? Or is it?
It is. And I mean, paramagnetic rock is just, it's the name we gave to the paramagnetic mineral source that we use.
It has those properties in it.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing. This is some rock that has
Paramagnetism is the thing. You know, diamagnetic and paramagnetic. There's 2 things. You can easily look these things up. The leading source of knowledge on that field would be Philip Callahan. The man was so smart he even came up with his own meter.
Okay. He'll be right back. You got to say he'll be right back when you go.
Be right back. Came back.
People will leave. They'll just, hey, what do you... Phil Callahan soil meter.
You don't get to see this. So,
holy moly.
A lot of people have meters and testing lab equipment and stuff. We do this. This is for Bob's awesome camera angles.
Had to have 2 cameras.
Yeah, there you go. The beard's so big. So Philip Callahan came out with a meter that actually reads the magnetism that comes in and out of our soil. So we've taken every soil in the market that we can find. Most soils out there are becoming diamagnetic. They actually push that energy field away from the root zone.
Oh, why is that? You don't know.
I'm not Philip Callahan. My name's Scott.
He may not even know.
We just know that with energy, it's an energy shift. And plants are energy, the roots are energy, the soil is energy, the earth is energy.
You think it's entropy?
What?
Do you think it's entropy? Do you think the world's just slowly slowing down? We're doomed? No. Okay, good. That's good. That's good.
No,
sorry.
Not at all. No, I think that because everything is an energy source and energy form, plants... We put plants in pots, in plastic, on floors above the core of the earth or above the soil.
And so they can't...
They're not resonating with that same energy waves that plants that are planted in the ground are. So
sure.
Outdoor plants perform better than indoor plants. Third floor plants perform less well than a first floor plant.
That's true.
Because they're not working on paramagnetism. So by adding paramagnetics to the soil media and in the form of basalt... Sure.
Oh.
It's not basalt. But that's what we have to say on our label because Department of Ag doesn't believe in paramagnetism, although you can look it up on Philip Callahan and his soil paramagnetic reader that doesn't exist to science. But yet there's, days and days of information. So yes, we do believe in paramagnetics. We do believe that paramagnetism brings energy into the plant, allowing them to align better with the nutrients that they're working with. To go on with your question with, rock dust in general. I mean, it's apples to oranges. So rock dust is a clay. It's a mineral. It's remineralizing. There's definitely benefits. There's definitely, depending on your source of rock dust, so you can get, Alaskan rock dust from the volcano up there. You can get Cascadian rock dust. You can get azomite, accelerite.
So is this pulverized lava, basically, or something?
Just mineral. It's like
from the
smelted earth.
Okay.
That literally is like powdered minerals that will remineralize your soil. They're great. Mycorrhiza loves it. Your fungal and bacterial field loves it. The plants can't access it. It's a rock. So just like bone meal, it needs to be broken down. And really the best way to break down rock is with mycorrhiza.
Which is what they do in nature, is they dig through stuff to get to...
They dissolve.
Yeah.
So literally mycorrhiza will dissolve mineral through
This is like you see at the coast where the plants are on the rock.
Yeah, trees growing out of the rock.
Yeah, okay. So two different things, though.
Totally, yeah. Well, I mean, our paramagnetic rock that we use in our potting soil is not available to the plant. It's 100% forever. It will never dissolve or break down. It literally just turns your soil from diamagnetic to paramagnetic. Okay. And there's no benefit to nutrition. I mean, it literally just allows your plant to feel like it's living in the earth. That's the main thing. Okay. Meanwhile, the healthier plants are, the more paramagnetism they put out there, the less likely you'll get, huge infestations of bug problems. Because again, his whole research came off of radar and radio waves through radar, picking them up through World War II. So a lot of this information came from him just going, man, how do these things even communicate? Well, bugs communicate through this radar system.
Oh, wow.
And by growing plants paramagnetically, he found that he could attract or detract plants accordingly.
He saw a reaction from messing with this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's finding the source of paramagnetic rocks. Basalt, granite sand, green sand will have it, but it's like the amount you have to use to get to our level is, 50 pounds to 1 ounce. It's just insane. So if you ever drop a magnet in our potting soil and you pull it out and you see these little fines on there, that's actually...
not metal.
No. It's this mineral. And there's no ore for it. I mean, we've had it labbed, we've had it tested. There's no this is a combination of X, Y, and Z. They're just like, that's a really unique ore. So
what do you got there?
Yeah, can we buy a truckload now? So, and we don't sell it nationally. It's nothing. There's no label for it. We can't sell it because of the sake of again, Department of Ags don't necessarily believe in it.
But you did not get this from the UFOs.
The UFOs?
Yeah, UFOs, the space people. You didn't.
No, we get it from Eastern Canada.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess
maybe. Who
aliens.
knows?
If they come over here, they're aliens.
We gotta keep them out.
Yeah, build the wall up there. Coming over for fucking tax-free goods in Montana.
Okay, Ryan.
We like you Canadians.
They're nice people.
Most of them.
Well, they're like Coloradans. They're nice until they're not.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we can cut that part out.
Yeah, I've got a lot of opinions right now, and I'm just going to hold all of them in my face.
All right. Ryan Comparin? I'm not sure. He says, hello, Bob. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
My plant is in flower, and its top leaves are turning a rusty color. What could be the problem? Now, you always say, hey, I need the ppm and the pH, so he's got it.
Yeah.
660 ppm and 6.6 pH. Sounds pretty good, right?
A lot of sixes in there.
Oh, this is like a code.
I was going to say, you got evil soil.
But let's just assume that it's no nefarious code, that it's just, these are actually the numbers. So there you go. You got your ppm and your pH. What's the problem?
I mean, right off the bat, 660 is a little high. So there's something in there binding up something that's not being made. Now, I would need a few more questions answered, like what brand potting soil are you in? What is the room temperature on the regular basis? Humidity on the regular basis? Frequency of feed, frequency of water only, whether or not you're using a compost tea and any other additives you might be using with the line. To me, right off the bat, it sounds like you have something to do with iron,
Because of the rusty color?
The rusty color and or potassium. And both of those could be as simple as just flushing out that 660. Your pH is fine. I would try to... It's fine. I mean, ideally, I'd like to see that 6.4 to 6.6.
So you'd flush and you go a little low on the pH when you flushed?
A little bit, just to get that in that 6.4. I mean, I don't mind feeding at 6.6 and 6.8. That's not the issue. It's when it's sustaining at 6.6. That might be too high for long term, so you might be locking something up on the lower end of the pH. And it could be the genetic that needs something different than that 6.4 to 6.6 range. So it might be genetics. It could be the potting soil. So the other problem is there's a lot of potting soils that put a bunch of iron EDTA in it. That gives you this really dark green plant, and the downfall is when you start using calcium phosphate and you have that much iron, they start reacting to each other and locking each other out, and they just become too big to consume. So my fear is if you're in one of those potting soils, having one of these flushes would just help kind of tie up the excess of the iron, or add a compost tea and release that iron.
So they're putting in that iron so they can say, look at these deep green tones.
Yeah,
but it's not super compatible with what we're doing with the calcium phosphate.
No, and it can be beat. It just needs to be identified that you have too much iron, or you don't have enough iron, or you have too much potassium. Because the hard part about deficiencies and toxicities is that they're a hair apart. I mean, they look the same, they act the same, and it really depends on what your numbers are to determine do you have too much or too little. Here, it almost looks like something got released into the plant at 660 parts per million, and it's actually creating a toxic level of something. So I would start with just a flush with a couple tablespoons of Herc.
Now let me ask you this. So I'm getting these funky leaves like that, and then I don't know what's going on, but I do a flush and it fixes it. Are those leaves going to actually change color, or are they going to die and fall away and new leaves are going to come up?
Well, they won't die and fall away. You'll have to prune them off. Okay. I mean, there's still the green parts of that leaf are still functioning as a factory.
But that leaf is never coming back. But my other leaves that are coming out are going to start coming out healthy.
And that's it. Is new growth tells you what's happening today. Okay. Old growth tells you what didn't happen today.
Would you be able to guess what was going on with some kind of foliar testing with different minerals or stuff, or no?
Well, yeah, go out and buy a Brix meter and then learn about Brix meters and then do a pre-Brix test, foliar feed with all the different elements, and then do a post-Brix test and then find out what they wanted.
So when you see a problem like this, maybe in your own garden, what's the process you go through? Do you looking back on your experience, or do you have a process?
Next! Throw that shit away and start over. Because I'm not relying on it.
Oh. What?
Huh?
What? What are you saying? We're done? It's no good?
No, I'm just saying. What would I do in my garden if I walked in and I saw plants going to hell? I would throw them away and start over. That's what I'm saying.
I thought you were saying to throw the video out. So good.
No, I'm
That's
looking at
worse.
the plant and I toss it.
Okay. See, I did not pick up on that right off. So you would just
No, so basically I would start by going, okay, I know my potting soil, I know my feeding because I have it all scheduled. I
so
look
you're
back
dialed.
to see. I'm not dialed.
Well, but you know where you're at from some.
I know what my parameters are, and I know it's more. And I would start with my slurry, and then I'd go back to my guide on what I fed in the last week.
Okay.
Something in what I did in the last week created this problem, or my other problems. I do a lot of stuff from seed, so. Even if I do everything perfect that I've done for 4 years and I got a new genetic, it could literally be that this one hates that much Demeters.
All right, because that was what I was going to ask you. Is like if you've been running this same thing for years and it suddenly cropped up, that's a different situation than if it's you. This is your first time growing a plant and it crops up. But even still, you're saying that even with you've been doing it forever in the same setup, the same room, the same lights, same everything, new genetic, seed like that, even maybe a clone or something. That You're never totally dialed in.
If you're dialed in, you've died and you live in heaven. That's where it's at. There's no dialing in this industry.
I gotcha.
Everything will change. You have the moon cycle. You've got the weather cycle. There's so many variables outside of what your 10 by 10 space is doing. I mean, if it's freezing cold outside, and even if your room's 67 degrees, they know what's happening outside. I mean, there's too many variances to say you're just going to run perfect. I've never met a grower who's never failed. And if you haven't failed, you're not growing. I mean, I call BS. My first 4 rounds were awesome. The next 4 rounds were horrible.
It seems like that you do better at the start and at the end, but in the middle is where you have the problem. It's like you go in there like the gardening gods are looking after you. They're like, oh, you're going to kill it this first time, but here comes the pain.
Because once you start, I don't know, there's something to be said about, keep it simple, stupid. There really is. There's the just go in and enjoy the plant. Once you start getting so scientific, I think we can make this more scientific than it is.
Yeah.
And our industry is great at that. Oh, you need 942 parts per million of CO2, and you need this and that just to make this.
Which is about money a lot of times.
Jack Career told me at one point in our days, it was like, oh, you want CO2? Then run around the block twice, then go into your garden, and then blow that out. You have more CO2 in you than you're putting out in a bottle. So if you're just pushing with CO2, great, you're getting a great yield, but I guarantee you that guy's not sitting there going, man, I grew the most fire with my heavy overdose CO2 plants. Where if you're breathing that CO2 on them and you're working out and doing that, I mean, that's when they say sing to your plants, talk to your plants.
That's what's going on.
CO2. Yeah. But when you're pumping, I can't pump out 2,200 parts of CO2 in a breath. So that's the biggest issue, is that plants love CO2. I think you can over CO2. You can over all of this. You can overthink the world. At 660, at 6.6 pH, I would say first and foremost, you want to just do a flush.
You're slightly high, but...
Slightly high. And with this genetic, that could... Like if this is an autoflower that's used to 300 parts per million at 660, that's more than double. That's going to make them mad, so you have to bring it back down.
So that's the first step with anything, is to bring those numbers in line, or at least maybe, let's say you were at 6.3 and 350. Would you maybe
push
your...
this is all happening. Then I'd be like,
would you push your pH up, maybe? Yeah.
If you're at 3, then maybe it needs more nutrients. So I'm going to bump them up and then test my slurry in 4 or 5 more days and see where they balance out. If they made it 330 and I'm at 900 parts per million going in, it's doing it, and I go to 12 and it stops, then they're hungry.
So even if you were in range on your numbers, you might change those numbers with a flush just to go a little bit over or under to get
always, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's helpful.
So all of that, let's see what I got in here, like 9 minutes of
that's
video.
The only thing that jumped out of me.
Oh, I'm going to go home for 4 days.
All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. That's a good episode. It was good. It was. I'm happy with it.
Comment below on whether that was a good episode.
Below.
Right here. And start here and start here and come across to there. And then punctuate that. And then there, and there are different words. So don't mess that up, because then we just delete that comment and we start over.
I don't. I read every comment.
I do. There's emails where I get to about third sentence and they've hacked there.
Not done.
Yeah, you don't even know where there is. Just kidding. We don't.
No.
I thought I had a question today.
You did, about the autoflower thing you didn't want to talk about. You got all salty about it being an autoflower. No?
That was on yours.
Yeah, also you got a question.
I thought I did.
Lay it on me.
I'm looking for it.
All right, I'll wait here.
That's not it. Oh, yeah, I don't want to do that one.
I saw this thing on one of those late night shows. Well, I didn't watch the late night show because I don't watch those, but I saw it on the YouTube. They had a thing of it. And they had you had to answer the question, but you did not have to reveal what the question was if you didn't want to. So the answers would be like, Michael Jordan. You're like, what?
I like it. We should do those next week.
But yeah, you can do the answer, but don't tell what the question is.
For the end of the year special, we're just going to give you answers.
That's a good
And
answer.
then we'll have a contest.
Just figure out what the question is. And we'll give something away.
You figure out the question asked, word for word.
Oh, see, come on. That's
kidding.
too hard.
It's impossible.
We talked about doing a Christmas special.
We need ideas.
We need ideas for a Christmas special. We're open to doing it. Singing's not off the table. Dancing's off the table.
Yeah, because this is YouTube.
Yeah.
So they didn't see the OCG fam.
No. They know that. Well, I should open that up so they can just see it.
No, you got to sign up for that newsletter. You don't get those.
Sign up for the newsletter.
There's called Easter eggs on there for a reason. We don't just give those away. You have to go if you want to see like some.
So you just go to OCGFAM.com, and down at the bottom, you can sign up for the newsletter. And then you would have got a video of us singing. badly.
Can you go back and look at old ones?
No.
So once the month's over, you're done.
Yeah.
So you missed out on a few good ones.
It was some funny stuff.
Yeah, they get some special stuff over at OCGFAM.
All right. Sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, do that.
For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM.com. And if you buy anything while you're there, use the code FAMHARVEST. It's going to save you 20%, and it's a lot of fun. The OCG Fam Show was pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.